Chuka's house was always spotless, or at least he thought so, until his sharp eyes began to scan the work of his house help. He stood in the middle of the living room, arms crossed, his gaze fixed on Ngozi, who was bent over, wiping the floor with silent concentration. "What is this again, Ngozi? You keep saying you cleaned everywhere, but can't you see that corner? Look at the table legs, look at the curtains. You've not touched them." Ngozi straightened slowly, her face flushed with the quiet shame of correction. "Oga, I cleaned everywhere, oh. Maybe I missed that small place, but I'll do it now." Chuka smirked, shaking his head with exaggerated disappointment. "You always say that. But truth be told, Ngozi, you clean better than most people. Don't think I don't notice." The corners of her lips curved shyly, and she turned her face away. She didn't like it when his compliments caught her off guard. "Come closer," he said teasingly. "Ngozi, do you know you look like Beyoncé?" No, maybe not Beyoncé. More like our own Beyoncé of the village. You see this your cheekbone? Fire. Ah, even finer than the one I see on TV." Ngozi laughed softly, embarrassed, and shook her head. "Oga, I beg, stop that one. You just like pay too much." But inside her heart, his words planted a seed she could not ignore. Later that evening, Amara arrived. She was dressed elegantly, her perfume filling the room before her voice did. With a confident smile, she carried a tray into the dining area. "Baby," she announced proudly, "I cook for you today, specially for you." Chuka raised his brows in surprise. "You? Cooked? Amara, let me see this miracle." She set the table and dished the food like a queen unveiling treasure. Chuka sat down, took his fork, and scooped a generous bite. He chewed once, twice, then suddenly spat it out onto the plate with disgust. "What is this nonsense?" he snapped, his voice sharp as a whip. "Did you get this recipe from the gutter? Amara, this thing can kill somebody." Amara's face fell. "Baby, no. I tried. I watched YouTube videos. I followed everything step by step by step by step. Into disaster," Chuka interrupted, slamming his fork down. "This is poison. This will give me stomach cancer right now. Amara, please, don't kill me with love." Amara's eyes shimmered with hurt. She looked at him, her lips trembling. "I only wanted to impress you. I wanted you to see I could do something for you." But Chuka wasn't listening anymore. He pulled out his phone and dialed a number. "Mama Ifoma's kitchen. Please prepare jollof rice and chicken. Make it quick. My stomach is crying." Amara sat back in her chair, humiliated. She had tried, but her best wasn't good enough for him. At Mama Ifoma's shop, pots clanged and smoke filled the air as the day's orders piled up. Mama Ifoma stirred a large pot of stew, sweat glistening on her forehead. Beside her, her daughter Ada carried trays of meat to package for delivery. "Mama, I'm tired," Ada complained. "These customers, they don't even pay on time. That man yesterday still goes, and now more orders are coming in. My back is breaking." Mala Ifoma chuckled, her voice deep and reassuring. "Ada, calm down. This is business. Food business no day finish. As long as people day hungry, money go day flow. Just keep working. Tomorrow we'll still sell. The next day we'll still sell. That's how we survive." Another customer entered, shouting about his order being late. Ada muttered angrily under her breath. But Mama Ifoma faced him with her usual charm, diffusing the tension with laughter and a free bottle of water. Meanwhile, back at Chuka's house, the wait dragged on. The food was taking longer than expected. Chuka tapped his fingers impatiently against the table, while Amara sat stiffly in silence. "This is taking forever," Chuka growled. "What kind of delay is this?" Amara rolled her eyes, frustrated. "Maybe if you had just eaten the food I made, we wouldn't be starving now." Chuka ignored her, but at that moment, Nozi quietly stepped into the room, holding a small tray with a glass of water. "Oga," she said softly, "sorry for disturbing, but maybe I can prepare something small for you. Just beans and plantain. It won't take long, at least to hold you till the food comes." Chuka looked at her, half annoyed, half curious. "Ngozi, you? You think you can cook better than Amara?" Ngozi dropped her gaze to the floor. I don't know, Oga, but I cook for my younger siblings every day back home. Maybe you can just taste. Chuka leaned back in his chair, sighing. Fine, go ahead. Let me see what you've got. Ngozi disappeared into the kitchen, and moments later, the aroma of frying plantain filled the air. The rich scent of beans simmering in the pot drifted into the living room, making Chuka sit up straighter. He inhaled deeply, his stomach rumbling louder than before. Soon, Ngozi returned with a simple plate of beans and golden fried plantain. She set it gently before him, her eyes lowered in respect. Chuka hesitated, then picked up his spoon and took a bite. His eyes widened instantly. He took another bite, then another, faster this time. Ngozi, he said slowly, looking at her with astonishment. This is delicious. Where have you been hiding this talent? Ngozi smiled shyly. I didn't hide it, Oga. I just never had reason to show you. Back home, this is what I do every day. Amara watched in disbelief, her jaw clenched, her pride burning inside her chest. The man she had tried so hard to impress with fancy recipes was now devouring the house help's simple meal with joy. Chuka cleaned the plate, then leaned back with satisfaction. Ngozi, from today, you are my official chef. Forget Mama Ifoma. Forget Amara's YouTube cooking. You're the one feeding me from now on. Amara stood abruptly, her voice trembling with fury. So this is it? You're praising her? A house help over me? Do you know how insulting this is? But Chuka only waved his hand dismissively. Amara, don't be dramatic. It's just food. But at least Ngozi knows how to make something edible. Amara's eyes filled with tears, but this time she did not plead. She grabbed her bag and stormed out of the house, slamming the door behind her. Chuka sat in silence for a moment, staring at the closed door. Then he turned back to Ngozi, who stood quietly, unsure of what to do. He smiled, softer this time. Ngozi, sometimes the simplest things are the sweetest, and sometimes the people we overlook are the ones who truly surprise us. Ngozi lowered her gaze, but the blush on her cheeks betrayed her heart. In that quiet moment, something unspoken passed between them, something that neither of them could deny. The night went on, and as the distant sound of Mama Ifoma's busy kitchen faded into the background, a new story began to take root in Chuka's home. The days that followed were filled with quiet tension. Amara stopped coming around as often, but her anger lingered like perfume long after she left the room. Chuka did not chase after her. Instead, he found himself paying more attention to the little things Ngozi did. He noticed the way she hummed softly while sweeping, the way her laughter rang like a bell when the neighbor's children teased her, and, most importantly, the way her cooking transformed his house into a home. Each evening, the smell of stew, jollof rice, or fried yam drifted to the air. Chuka began to hurry home just to eat, something he had never done before. One night, after another delicious meal, Chuka leaned back in his chair, patting his stomach. Ngozi, I swear, you are wasted as a house help. You should be running your own restaurant. Ngozi chuckled nervously, shaking her head. Oga, leave that one. Restaurant is for big people, not small people like me. Chuka sat forward, his tone suddenly serious. Who told you you're small? Ngozi, you have something many people are chasing but never find. You have talent. You have passion. Her eyes flickered with hope, but just as quickly, she looked away. Talent doesn't buy gas or pay rent, Oga. Sometimes, it's better to stay where you belong. Chuka watched her carefully, but he did not push. Instead, he smiled softly. Just remember my words. You're more than what you think you are. Meanwhile, Amara was far from silent. Though she no longer visited Chuka's house with the same confidence, she was plotting. She told her friends about Ngozi, mocking her, calling her the little house help who thinks she can replace me. But behind the laughter, there was jealousy burning hot and dangerous. One afternoon, Amara sat in her car outside Mama Hifoma's food shop. She had followed Ngozi there on her errand to buy spices. Through the window, Amara watched as Ngozi chatted with Ada, laughing, helping to carry baskets of tomatoes inside. Imagine, Amara muttered to herself, gripping the steering wheel tightly. She is now mingling with Mama Ifoma's family, as if she's one of them. A house help trying to rise above her level. This will not stand. Inside the shop, Mama Ifoma's booming laughter filled the room. Ngozi, my daughter, you are always welcome here. Your heart is pure, and your cooking hand is blessed. Don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. Ngozi smiled, humbled by the older woman's words. Ada nodded in agreement. It's true. The way you prepare beans, even my mama said it tastes like her own. You're gifted. Ngozi blushed, thanking them before hurrying back to Chuka's house. But outside, Amara's eyes followed her with quiet venom. That evening, Chuka returned from work later than usual. He looked tired, his shirt clinging to his back. As he entered, the familiar smell of food welcomed him. Oga, welcome, Ngozi greeted warmly, setting a bowl of okra soup and fufu on the table. Chuka dropped his briefcase and inhaled deeply. Ngozi, you spoiled me. Even the restaurants don't sell food like this. She laughed lightly. Eat first, Oga, before you faint. Chuka washed his hands and began to eat, savoring every bite. As he ate, he kept glancing at Ngozi, who stood quietly by the doorway. He motioned for her to sit, but she shook her head. I'll eat later, she said softly. Chuka studied her. Ngozi, do you know what I like most about you? She raised her brows, curious. You don't try too hard. You just do what you do naturally. And somehow, that makes it perfect. Ngozi's cheeks flushed. She looked away, embarrassed, her heart pounding faster than she wanted to admit. But their moment was interrupted. The loud honk of a car echoed outside, followed by hurried footsteps. Amara burst into the room without knocking, her face set in anger. So this is it, Chuka. This is what you've reduced yourself to? Sitting with your house help like she's your queen? Chuka froze, the fufu halfway to his mouth. Ngozi stood quickly, bowing her head, ready to retreat. Amara, Chuka said calmly. Why are you here? Why am I here? She repeated, her voice sharp. I'm here because everyone is talking about you. They say you're parading around with your maid, eating her food as if she's some great chef. Chuka, have you lost your mind? Chuka set down his food, his eyes narrowing. Amara, lower your voice. Ngozi has done nothing wrong. She takes care of this house. And yes, she cooks better than you. Is that a crime? Amara gasped, her pride wounded. You dare compare me to her? A girl who scrubs your floors? Ngozi trembled, clutching her apron tightly. She wanted to disappear, but her feet were glued to the ground. Chuka stood, his voice firm. Amara, enough. Don't insult her. If you came here to fight, then leave. I won't allow you to disrespect someone who has shown me more loyalty than you ever have. Amara's eyes filled with angry tears. She slapped her bag against her side and hissed, You'll regret this, Chuka. You'll regret throwing me aside for her. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard the windows rattled. Silence followed, heavy and awkward. Ngozi lowered her head, whispering, Oga, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause trouble between you and Madame. Chuka stepped closer, lifting her chin gently. Nazi, don't apologize. You did nothing wrong. If anyone should regret the actions, it's Amara, not you. Her eyes met his, and for a fleeting moment, something unspoken passed between them again. The tension was electric, the air thick with emotions neither dared to name. Later that night, Chuka sat alone in his room, thinking. Amara's words echoed in his head, but instead of doubt, he felt clarity. He thought about all the times Amara had tried to impress him with glamour, only to fail. Then he thought about Ngozi, her quiet strength, her kindness, her food that tasted of home. He realized something he had been ignoring. He was drawn to her, but love between a master and his house help was forbidden by unspoken rules of society. What would people say? What would his family think? Still, his heart beat faster every time he remembered the way she smiled shyly at his compliments. Meanwhile, Amara sat in her own room, rage boiling within her. She had no intention of letting Ngozi take her place. She began to plan. If Chuka would not come back to her willingly, she would make sure he had no choice. At Mama Ifoma's shop the next morning, gossip filled the air. A woman whispered loudly, "They say Chuka now prefers his maid's food to Amara's." Can you imagine? Mama Ifoma shook her head, stirring her pot. Let them say what they want. I know that girl, Ngozi. She has a good heart. Maybe that's what the young man sees. Ada giggled. Maybe love really does pass through the stomach, Mama. Mama Ifoma chuckled. Maybe, my daughter. Maybe. Back at Chuka's house, Ngozi worked silently, but her mind was restless. The words Amara had thrown at her cut deeply. She knew her place. She was a house help, nothing more. But why did her heart leap whenever Chuka spoke kindly to her? Why did she dream of him at night, even when she tried not to? That evening, as she served him dinner, Chuka reached out and held her wrist gently. She froze, her eyes wide. Nosy, he said quietly. Don't ever think you're less. You're not invisible. Not to me. Her breath caught in her throat. She couldn't find the words, so she simply nodded and slipped away. Leaving him staring at the door, she disappeared behind. Outside, the moon hung low in the sky, silent witness to a love story that was only just beginning one. Born not of wealth or pride, but of simple meals, gentle laughter, and hearts that found each other in the most unlikely pace. Days turned into weeks, but the storm Amara left behind had not settled. Though she no longer barged into Chuka's home uninvited, her shadow seemed to linger in every corner. She called him endlessly, sending long messages filled with accusations and pleas. Chuka ignored most of them, but Amara was not the type to give up. She sat in her car one afternoon, staring at her reflection in the rearview mirror. No maid, she hissed to herself. No maid will take what belongs to me. If Chuka thinks he can throw me away like yesterday's trash, then he doesn't know me. Amara's anger festered into a dangerous plan. She began spreading rumors in the neighborhood. Whenever she visited salons, boutiques, or even Mama Efoma's shop, she dropped poisonous words into people's ears. Can you imagine? Chuka, a man of his status, eating from the hands of a maid as if she were his wife. I even hear she sleeps in his house without supervision. Who knows what she is doing to him at night? These girls, they know how to use charms. The whispers grew, twisting and multiplying like wildfire. Soon, even Chuka's colleagues at work had heard. Some laughed behind his back. Others shook their heads in disapproval. But Chuka didn't care. He returned home every evening, sat at his dining table, and waited for Ngozi's cooking, like a child waiting for his mother's love. Ngozi, however, began to notice the stares. When she went to Mama Ifoma's shop to buy tomatoes or palm oil, women whispered and pointed. Ida tried to defend her, but the gossip stung like sharp knives. One evening, she approached Chuka as he relaxed on the balcony. Oga, she began nervously. Maybe it's better if I stop cooking for you. People are saying things. They're saying I'm using juju. They're saying I'm trying to take Madame Amara's place. Chuka turned to her, his jaw tight. And since when do we live our lives based on gossip? Ngozi, let them talk. People will always talk. What matters is the truth, and I know the truth. Ngozi lowered her gaze. But Oga, you don't understand. I'm just a house help. I don't want to bring shame to your name. Chuka leaned forward, his eyes searching hers. Ngozi, you are more than a house help to me. Don't ever forget that. Her heart skipped, but before she could respond, the sharp ring of his phone cut through the moment. It was his mother. He answered quickly. Mama, good evening. On the other end, her voice was stern. Chuka, I've been hearing things. People are saying you are getting close to your maid. Is it true? Chuka closed his eyes, bracing himself. Mama, people exaggerate. Ngozi takes care of me, yes. She cooks, yes. But she's respectful, hardworking, and... His mother interrupted sharply. Hardworking? Respectful? Chuka, have you lost your senses? Do you want to bring shame to this family? How can you, the son of Chief Obi, even allow such talk? Send that girl away immediately before people think you've completely disgraced us. Chuka's chest tightened. He tried to explain, but his mother was unrelenting. She ended the call with a warning. He sat there in silence, torn between his mother's expectations and the quiet happiness Ngozi brought into his life. The next morning, Amara made her move. She arrived at Chuka's office dressed in a striking red gown, carrying a basket of food she claimed she had prepared herself. Smiling sweetly, she set it on his desk. "Chuka, I know I made mistakes," she cooed, her voice sugar-coated. "But I want to show you I can change. I can cook for you now. Just give me another chance." Chuka stared at the basket, his face expressionless. "Amara, this isn't about cooking. It's about respect. It's about truth. You don't understand that." Amara leaned closer, lowering her voice. "What truth? That you've fallen for your maid? Do you know what people are saying about you? Chuka, you'll ruin your reputation. Do you think any serious man of your status marries a house help?" Her words cut deep, but instead of shaking him, they hardened his resolve. He pushed the basket aside. "Amara, please leave. Don't come to my office again." Amara's eyes blazed with fury. She rose abruptly, slamming her heels against the floor as she walked out. Back at Chuka's house that evening, the tension grew worse. His mother's call weighed heavily on his mind. He found Ngozi scrubbing the floor, humming softly, unaware of the storm in his chest. For a moment, he just watched her, torn between duty to his family and the pull of his heart. Finally, he spoke. "Ngozi, what would you do if I asked you to leave?" She froze, looking up at him with wide, frightened eyes. "Leave? Oh God, did I do something wrong?" His throat tightened. "No, you've done nothing wrong. It's just my mother doesn't approve. The gossip is getting too much." Tears welled in her eyes, but she forced a smile. "I understand. I always knew my place. Maybe it's time I go." She turned away quickly, so he wouldn't see her tears. Chuka's heart ached, but he remained silent, trapped between two worlds. The next day, Nosy packed her small bag and left without a word. The house felt empty without her laughter, her humming, her food. Chuka sat at the dining table, staring at the bare surface, his appetite gone. Days passed. Amara returned, smiling triumphantly, thinking she had won. She cooked meals for Chuka, but each bite tasted hollow. He forced smiles, but inside he was restless. Nights stretched long as he lay awake, haunted by memories of Ngozi's shy laughter and the warmth of her presence. Meanwhile, Ngozi returned to Mama Hifoma's shop, helping out with chores in exchange for food and shelter. Ada noticed her sadness. One evening, she sat beside her and asked, "Ngozi, why do you look like someone who left her heart behind?" Ngozi shook her head, wiping her eyes. "Because maybe I did, Ada. But it doesn't matter. People like me are not meant to dream of such things." Ada squeezed her hand. "Don't say that. If your heart found someone, maybe it's because you were meant to be with him." But Ngozi only smiled sadly and looked away. One stormy night, Chuka found himself driving aimlessly. Rain battered his windshield, and his thoughts tormented him. He stopped near Mama Ifoma's shop, almost without realizing. Through the downpour, he saw Ngozi, carrying buckets of water inside with Ada. Her clothes clung to her skin, her hair soaked, but her determination was unshaken. Something inside him broke. He stepped out of the car, running through the rain. Ngozi looked up, startled, as he stopped in front of her. "Ngozi," he said, his voice trembling, "I can't do this anymore. I can't eat without you. I can't sleep without you. I don't care what people say. I don't care what my family thinks. All I know is my life is empty, without you in it." Ngozi froze, her heart racing. Rain ran down her cheeks, mixing with her tears. Oka people will never accept us. They will laugh. They will insult you. Chuka shook his head, stepping closer. "Let them laugh. Let them insult. I choose you, Nosy. Not Amara, not anyone else. You." For a long moment they stood in silence, rain drumming around them. Then slowly, Ngozi's lips curved into a trembling smile. And in that storm, beneath the heavy sky, two hearts finally found each other. But as they embraced, unseen from a distance, Amara washed from her car, her face twisted with rage, her fists clenched on the steering wheel. "This isn't over," she whispered. "If I can't have Chuka, then nobody will." Amara sat in her car for a long time after seeing Chuka and Ngozi in the rain. The storm outside matched the storm inside her chest. She gripped the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles turned white. Her pride had been wounded, her heart humiliated, and her jealousy burned hotter than fire. "How dare he?" she muttered. "After everything I did for him. After all the time I gave. He thinks he can throw me away for a maid?" From that night, Amara's mission was clear. If she could not have Chuka, then she would destroy both him and the maid he had chosen over her. The next morning, she began her schemes. She found a friend in the community newspaper, a man hungry for gossip. With a wicked smile, she whispered her poison into his ears, telling him of a wealthy man who had disgraced his family by falling for his house help. The man's eyes lit up. This was the kind of scandal that sold papers. Within days, the headlines spread across the town. Prominent businessman in secret affair with maid. Chief Obi's son brings shame to family. The gossip that once circulated quietly now exploded in the open. Chuka's phone buzzed endlessly with calls from colleagues, family friends, and his furious mother. At work, whispers followed him down every corridor. Partners raised eyebrows during meetings, questioning his judgment, even his sanity. His once pristine reputation was in tatters, and at the center of it all was Ngozi Innocent. He had painted as a villain who had bewitched him. One evening, Chuka returned home exhausted, his face lined with frustration. Ngozi met him at the door, concern written all over her face. "Oga, you haven't eaten. Let me make something for you." But Chuka waved her off, collapsing onto the chair. "Ngozi, they've dragged your name everywhere. My mother, she says if I don't send you away, she'll disown me. And the board at work, they're threatening to remove me." Ngozi's eyes filled with tears. "Then maybe it's better I go. I don't want to be the reason you lose everything." Chuka sat up, his voice sharp. "No, I won't let them take you away from me again. Ngozi, listen to me. Don't care about the money, the status, or the name. All of that means nothing if I lose you." Her lips trembled. She wanted to believe him, but fear gnawed at her heart. Could love really withstand such pressure? While Chuka wrestled with his battles, Amara was busy fueling the fire. She bribed 2 men from the neighborhood to harass Ngozi whenever she stepped outside. They threw insults, calling her names, spitting at her feet. "Go digger!" they shouted. "Witch! Homebreaker!" Ngozi bore it in silence, but each word cut her deeply. Nights found her curled up in her small room, crying quietly, praying for strength. Then came the day everything reached a breaking point. Chuka had invited a few business associates to his home for dinner, hoping to salvage his reputation. Ngozi, determined to help, prepared the meal with her usual care, pouring love into every dish. The table was set, the aroma filling the air. For a moment, there was peace, but peace never lasted long. Just as the guests began to eat, Amara stormed into the compound with 2 policemen at her side. Her face was a mask of triumph. "Officers!" she shouted. "That's the girl. Arrest her. She has been stealing from him. I have proof." Gasps filled the room. The policeman moved toward Ngozi, who stood frozen in shock. Chuka shot to his feet, rage flashing in his eyes. "What nonsense is this, Amara? Ngozi has never stolen from me." But Amara pulled out forged documents, waving them dramatically. "Look, bank transfers, jewelry missing from his room. Even his mother knows about it. This girl has been using charms to hold him down." The policeman hesitated, confused by the shouting match. Ngozi's hands shook as she whispered, "Oga, I swear on my life, I have never taken a kobo from you." Chuka's heart thundered in his chest. He turned to the officers, his voice firm. "Leave my house. If you dare touch her, I will take this to the highest court. Amara is lying." The policemen glanced at each other, unsure. But Amara, humiliated by his defiance, screeched like a wounded animal. "Chuka, you fool! You're throwing your life away for a girl who scrubs your floor. You will regret this. Mark my words, you will regret this." She stormed out, leaving a heavy silence behind her. The guests, uncomfortable, made excuses and left quickly. When the last car drove away, Chuka turned to Ngozi. She was trembling, tears streaming down her cheeks. He reached for her hand. "Ngozi, I'm sorry. I should have seen this coming. Amara will stop at nothing. But I promise you, she will never touch you again. That night, Chuka made a decision. The next morning, he called a press conference. Cameras flashed as he stood before the microphones, his face calm but determined. I have been accused. Lies have been spread. But today, I want to tell the truth. Yes, I love Ngozi. She is my companion, my comfort, and my strength. She may have come into my home as a house help, but she has given me more loyalty and love than many who claim to be honorable. I will not deny her, and I will not let anyone destroy her name. If society sees this as a shame, then let it be my shame to bear, because I would rather live in truth than die in lies. The hall buzzed with murmurs, cameras clicking rapidly. By the next day, his words were everywhere. Some mocked him, others admired his courage. But one thing was clear: he had drawn a line no one could cross. Amara's plan had backfired. Her name became associated with bitterness and malice, while Chuka's boldness turned him into a symbol of defiance against societal chains. Days later, Chuka stood before his mother. Her eyes were red with anger, but his gaze did not waver. "Mama," he said softly, "you taught me that love is patient and kind, that love bears all things. If you cannot see what I see in Ngozi, then I cannot force you, but I will not abandon her." His mother turned away, silent. For the first time, she had no words. Back at the house, Ngozi waited, her heart heavy with uncertainty. When Chuka returned, he carried a small box in his hand. He knelt before her, his eyes full of tenderness. "Ngozi," he said, voice breaking, "you walked into my house as a helper, but you became the woman who healed me. I don't care about the world's opinion. I only care about us. Will you marry me?" Ngozi gasped, her hand covering her mouth as tears spilled freely. For a long moment she couldn't speak, overwhelmed by emotion. Finally, with trembling lips, she whispered, "Yes, yes, Chuka, I will." He slipped the ring onto her finger, and in that moment, the weight of every battle they had fought melted away. Their journey had been full of gossip, betrayal, and pain. But love true? Love had endured it all. And as the sun set behind the house that evening, casting a golden glow over them, one truth stood tall. Sometimes, the greatest love stories are born from the most unexpected places, because in the end, Chuka did not find love in wealth, reputation, or appearances. He found it in the quiet strength of a woman who had once been called nothing more than a maid. But to him, she was everything.